Valencia are one of Spain's historic giants. They're a club that once dominated La Liga and competed with Europe's elite while producing some of the best players in football history. But right now, the club is completely broken. They sit over £700 million worth in debt, years of poor decisions, financial mismanagement, and a squad that's now nowhere near good enough to compete in La Liga. Meanwhile, Spain is controlled by two giants, Real Madrid and Barcelona, who are miles ahead in terms of quality. So the question is, can we take a club that's struggling in debt to the top of Spanish football? Well, yes, but we're not going to do that using a standard rebuild. Today, the whole engine behind this is Moneyball. Every signing we make will be smart, it will be data-driven, and with the goal of clearing this £700 million worth of debt and taking Valencia back to the top not only of Spanish football, but to win the Champions League here with Valencia on FM26. This might be the hardest Moneyball rebuild I've ever done, so let's lock in and see if we can save Valencia. Now, currently in real life, Valencia sit down in 14th place in the top flight of Spanish football, which is crazy in itself. And to get us up to the real life point, I've had to simulate the first full season where we actually finished in 8th place in a Europa Conference League spot. But don't worry, I'm not going to try and win it next year. We're going to try and throw it and ignore the fact that that's done. But I've done that so that we could actually get some Moneyball data going straight into season number 1, because without that, we won't be able to use any of our Moneyball filters to actually go through and try and sign players. And that's what we're looking to do in this rebuild, is really try and show off Moneyball while trying to fix this club. Now, already after just one season of simulation, which of course we had nothing to do with, the club is actually now £600 million worth in debt. That makes no difference whatsoever. The club is completely and utterly cooked. And the thing that makes it so difficult is the prize money. I mean, for example, this is the French tier. You can see how it's all split. You go into the Bundesliga, you can see how it's all split. You go into the Serie A, you can see how it's all split. I'm not sure if it's just on my save or whatever it is. I can't see how the money is split here in Spain whatsoever. And I'm not sure if that's done by design, because I believe most of the money just gets split between Real Madrid and Barcelona. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, because I could be. I'm pretty sure, though, the reason you can't see the money that you're going to get brought in from the league is because it's actually a completely different sort of structure to how most other leagues actually run it, like a fair split as you fall down in the leagues and the parachute payments, etc. In Spain, you can't see that at all. All you can see is if you're relegated, you get 11.5 mil, which isn't a lot of money considering we're £600 million in debt. The squad itself does have some pretty decent players here, which have got some good value, but nothing crazy. And to be honest, if we're going to go through and sell these star players, we're probably going to be in a much worse position than we would be if we just tried to survive. Now, for this first window, we've got £39 million to spend and a negative £25,000 in a wage budget. So we're going to quickly very much amend that to give us about £30 million to spend. But I can't just go and spend £30 million willy-nilly because, well, the whole goal of this is to clear the debt and win the Champions League and the Spanish top flight. I can't just go and spend money straight away. We're going to have to sell to buy. We're going to have to raise funds. And this genuinely might be the hardest rebuild I ever do on FM because they are so well and truly cooked. And if I actually manage to clear the debt, I'm going to be gobsmacked. So if you guys are enjoying it so far and you like the concept, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channels because we do a Moneyball rebuild every 3 weeks here. If you love Moneyball, it's the place for it on FM YouTube. Now, in terms of the team that we're actually looking at, this is the tactic that I'm going to try and run with some wide overloads with wide forwards and wing backs either side. A pretty strong box midfields of Dicarbi and Tarrega as the two centre-backs with Papelu and Guerrera in DM. And Guerrera really is the star that we want to build around for most of this rebuild. He is just 23 years of age. There has been a lot of rumours of him moving to many different clubs in the past few years. He's not moved. I'll be surprised if he stays there forever, but in this rebuild, we are going to try and make that the case. We've got Arnaut Danjuma over on the left wing, who on only £38,000 a week is a pretty good player. And up front is Hugo Duro, who is fairly decent, but on high wages. So I'm not sure how long we're going to keep him for. This season in the simulation, 10 goals in 31 games. But like I said, I had no part of the management here whatsoever. I have come in, I have built a 4-4-1-1 out of possession, 4-2-3-1 in possession to attempt to try and build a semi-realistic Valencia style system in real life, but also try and play some football, which could do quite well in Spain. That sort of standard higher tempo, not really trying to do the tiki-taka business, catch teams on the break with a nice, decent mid-block, stand defensive line, but a good press in there as well. And I'm really excited to see how this one is actually going to go because, well, £600 million in debt, a squad which is average at best. I mean, simulated and finishing 8th in the league. And now I've got to go out there and try and rebuild this squad while saving money and using Moneyball and getting better. Yeah, this isn't going to be easy. And if anything, the extra games of the Conference League actually really don't help us at all because we need as much time as we can playing fewer games to develop some players in this team. And speaking of development, the only holy grail we've got in this rebuild is the fact that the youth facilities and training facilities are fantastic. So when we do get good academy players come through in the system, we should be able to train them up into elite players. And already, just on the first season, obviously with the year being simulated, there's a couple of players which look okay, which I believe I've already moved up into the first team. I have indeed. And we already have, 10 players at 4.5 star potential plus literally on day one, which is a fantastic signal. Now let's talk about transfers for season number 1, shall we? Because there was quite a lot that happened. A lot of it out of my control, some of it in my control. Sergi Canos and Cristiano Rivero both leaving the club for around £4 million. And then a pretty big signing, which was also out of my control, was a £9.5 million deal to bring Julian Aguirrezabala, apologies, I'm going to call him Julian from now on, into the team. And it cost us just actually 9.5 million, which isn't too bad. Seems to be on loan in real life, an optional future fee. The bid was done before I got here. We'll take it. It's a good goalkeeper at just 25 years of age, which could be our number one for a pretty long time. Past that, there was another £9.5 million in sales. Dimitri Fodquer leaves the club to Cadiz. Danny Raba leaves to Mallorca for £5 million. And Renzo Saravia leaves to Granada for £600k. And Cenk Oscar leaves to Atletico Pamplona for £3.6 million. So incomings-wise, I wanted to keep things fairly simple. Jordan Larson was my first signing for £800,000 coming in from Copenhagen. My second was Darian Males coming in from BSC Young Boys for 4.2 million, and then a free agent signing of Enek Quateng, a 29-year-old French right back coming in from Botev Plodviv. And my final signing was Kevin Schlotterbeck coming in from Augsburg for 5.5 million. So I spent about 10 million pounds. They spent another 9.5 on the goalkeeper. But overall, some pretty decent Moneyball signings. Now, if you're wondering how I'm making these Moneyball deals, what is Moneyball and how do I use Moneyball? I use it in a fairly standard way. I have these filters, which I created quite a while ago, which I go through every single June the 1st. And I would do all my transfers before all the data goes in July. So throughout June, I will do all my signings. So for example, for strikers, I will look into strikers which have got a 20% conversion rate and score a goal every 45 minutes, effectively 0.5 every 90 minutes. If we're looking into, let's say, wing-backs like Quinok Boateng, we're looking into wing-backs which hits a 20% cross-completion percentage and an 80% tackle completion ratio. Now, of course, we're on the 18th of July here. There isn't much data to go and show you. There's only one option because all the data is gone, apart from teams and nations which play outside of the classic European structure. But going forward, I will show a few reasons why I signed players, a few different variations of how I done it as well, because I also think Moneyball was a part of a thing like Brighton and Bournemouth, where you're trying to find under-19 international youth appearance players that are crazy cheap. Not someone like Christos Mouzaskis, who's going to cost you 21 million, but maybe someone that costs you 3 or 4 million, like Dennis Prendy, for example, from Cremonese, who's got capped for Albania. He might be doing well at the team he's at, and it's going to cost us next to nothing while being young with high upside to sell in the future. And that is the key of this rebuild in particular, because if we're going to clear this £550 million worth of debt, well, it's going to come from some signings like that. And that now gives us this squad going into next season. So let's have a proper look at the team then. Julian in goal, our 6'2" new goalkeeper. Left back, I'm pretty happy with. We've got Jesus Vasquez, who's 23. But we've also got Jose Gaia, who's of course now 31, but is an elite player. So we'll be playing here for a good few years more, as long as his natural fitness keeps him as a decent player for us. Moving on to centre back, we have got Torrega, who is a 24-year-old Spaniard at 6'4". Next to him is our brand new signing, Kevin Schlotterbeck. Rendell Correa is our right back. He is wanted by clubs, but that sort of value, I'm not going to find anyone better than him, other than my backup signing, which we made of Quateng, who I think is actually really good on a free agent deal. In terms of backup centre-backs, we've got Dicabi, who also is really good, but 29, and Capete, who is 26. Not quite on the same level. In DM, we've got Papelu, who at 27 looks really well-rounded, and then Javi Guerrera, who, as we know, is kind of the star of this rebuild. In the DM backup spots, we've got Guido Rodriguez, formerly of West Ham United, and then we've got Santa Maria, a French DM, coming in as well. In our right wing position, we have Diego Lopez, a 24-year-old with 17 determination, elite natural fitness, good speed, and a classic sort of Spanish player, really good technical stats, decent enough physicals. On the left-hand side is Arnaut Danjuma, who is more of that physical specimen over on that left-hand side. Larson as the backup right winger, probably not going to come in and be a starter and play many games, but for the price we got him for, 900 odd K, I think it was, a pretty good deal. And the left wing, we got Rioja, who is 32 years of age, simply doing a job for another season because we don't have the money to go and sign anyone else. Backup cam, we've got Filip Ugrinic, who is a Swiss cam who looks really good, 17 strength in that cam role. But I think the starter is going to be our new signing, Darian Mailans, who does look really, really good. Also 6'2" and a good physical build. And up front is Hugo Duro, who at 27 years of age, 26 years of age, is going to be a striker for a good few years, while we have our backup of Umar Sadiq, 29 years of age, good speed, 6'4", could be an absolute monster in the match engine. And then, of course, throughout the course of this video, we are looking to build up a loan farm of these under-19s and players coming up through the academy and really try to make them special as well. So we'll get to that when we get there. We'll loan out some players here and there, and hopefully once we see some players start to break into the team, we can do a little bit more of a deeper dive on them. But let's talk about the Spanish First Division, because it is not an easy competition. Now, according to the game, we are the 7th best team. I would not believe that we are better than Real Betis, Sevilla, or Girona, probably. I'd probably put us in around this 10th spot, move the others up, but it is what it is. Real Sociedad are the 6th, Villarreal are in 5th, Bilbao in 4th, Atletico Madrid in 3rd, Real Madrid in 2nd, and Barcelona in 1st. And of course, at some point, we want to make it so we are the champions of Spanish football, meaning we're going to have to overthrow the youngster producing Barcelona and then the high spending of Real Madrid somehow in this video. A reminder, the video doesn't end until we win the Spanish League, we win the Champions League, and we clear every single penny of this debt and make Valencia rich and world beaters once again. So now that we're started, let's get into what this team can do in the match engine. And let's show you this game, a 3-0 victory against Atletico Madrid, where we done nothing fancy, but battered them. 41% possession, we out-harambled Atletico Madrid, which I'm very, very proud of. In terms of goals, Ugrinic, Diego Lopez and Dicabi, we sat back, we were hard to break down, harder to break down than Atletico Madrid, and outdone Diego Simeone. But actually, to start the season, results were pretty rough. I'll be completely honest, with our first 3 games, picked up just 1 point in a draw against Villarreal. And it did take quite a while for form to look a little bit better. Going into December, we were losing a few games, but finally managed to turn things around with back-to-back wins in the Spanish Cup, giving us a bit of confidence. We beat Burgos 4-1, payback for the 3-2 loss on the opening day of the season, beat Bilbao 2-1, drew to Mallorca 1-1, beat Vigo, Las Palmas, San Sebastian, and lost to Espanyol. But we did manage to also lose into Almeria in the Spanish Cup quarter-final. But as you saw at the bottom there, a 7-0 victory over Heidenheim shows the Conference League is something we are taking semi-seriously. By that, I mean we also got past Rennes in the quarterfinals and past AZ on penalties in the semis. Well, we met Copenhagen in the final and got off to a pretty good start with Correa sticking us 1-0 up. And we grabbed the second on the counter as well as Marty found the back of the net. But we then proved just how difficult this rebuild might be because the mentality here at Valencia is cooked. We conceded to make it 2-1 and then conceded to make it 2-2, sent the game into extra time. And it came down to our centre-back, Diakabi, scoring a pen to win it, and he missed. So we lost in the Conference League final to Copenhagen, showing just the level we are currently at. Because in my opinion, this is a competition we should be winning very easily, and the fact we lost to a Danish side in Copenhagen, no disrespect to them, just shows we're nowhere near going to be good enough yet. I mean, especially when it comes to the teams we're facing up against, of Real Madrid, Barcelona, they would just absolutely batter us. But it wasn't all bad in the league. There were some good results as well, like the one against Getafe, Vallecano, 4-0 against Sociedad, and earlier on in the season, beating teams left, right, and centre. We did actually have us finishing in 6th place, getting Europa League football, which I'm actually really proud of because, again, I don't think we're the 8th best team. I think we're probably about the 10th best team. And to finish here in the top 6, getting some good victories in there as well, is really good. It was just the consistency of this league. There was just too many games we would win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. Never really managed to get a proper run of form on. I mean, that right there is a 5-game stinker against Las Palmas, Ludogorets, Real San Sebastian, Espanyol, and Sevilla. And if you guys are wondering why I don't have the real name fixes installed, it's simply because I'm bored of installing them every 2 weeks because there's an update on FM. It doesn't bother me that much. I apologise if it bothers you that Real San Sebastian are not Real Sociedad, but I'll make sure to be calling them Sociedad and Real Espadas Real Betis. Now, for us this season, we did see a star player emerge in Hugo Duro at 27 years of age, bagging 24 goals. Diego Lopez, also someone really impressing me with 21 goal contributions. Umar Sadiq, a good backup with 11 goals. And Arnaud Danjuma with 22 goal contributions as well. But financially, we had definitely lost a bit of value in the squad because Danjuma's 30, Diakabi's 30, and we aren't a good young squad. We've kind of got players in their prime, but our prime is to finish in 6th place. So financially, we have got £12 million in the bank and 170k in the wage budget, but still £500 million worth of debt. And that's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. So we had to make some huge transfer calls. Papelu straight away has left the club to join Al Hilal on £300,000 a week. Kevin Schlotterbeck just wasn't good enough. We've cashed in $5.5 million. We spent 4.8. So I'm quite happy with the sale. Danny Raba, of course, we sold already. Umar Sadiq leaves to Espanyol. Andre Almauda leaves for $4.5 million. Capete leaves for 3.3. And Dimitri leaves for 2.6. So incomings wise, we had around £10 million that I wanted to spend. And my first signing was a free agent. And it's Igor coming in from Brighton. And he's had a fairly good season with West Ham in the Championship on a 6.97 average rating. But on a free agent deal, this is the sort of thing which I think we have to take a gamble on. He's not hit the Moneyball metrics. He's not a young star. But for free, we aren't going to get much better than this for a left-footed centre-back. Tony Martinez was my next signing, someone else which has also played for West Ham, and this guy did hit the Moneyball criteria, especially here in the top flight, scoring 20 goals for Alaves in 37 games. We picked him up for 3.6 million. He's only on £39,000 a week. This might be the bargain of the century. Umar Sadiq grabbed 11 goals last year as our backup striker. Tony Martinez, 3.6, and he looks incredible. And he scored 20 goals compared to Sadiq's 11, who we sold for 4.1 million. This, to me, is an absolute great signing. Sofiane Al Fawzi was my next, a £5 million man, 24 years of age, joining us from Schalke in the 2nd tier of German football. They signed him for just 175k. Fair play to them. We signed him for £5 million though. A good signing after a couple of years proving himself in the 2nd tier. And I'm really happy to get someone in at a really good young age, this well-rounded, 18 natural fitness, 18 stamina, a true DM that can sit next to Guerrera as he plays the ball around. Patrick Valemark was my next signing for £2.2 million as a rotational winger. And then Edvin Kurtulus is a Swedish centre-back I brought in for just £2 million, which might be the bargain of the century. Joining us from Bulgarian side Ludogorets, they signed him for 1.9. He had 2 seasons averaging around a 7.3 overall, and we signed him for £2 million. This is a fantastic Moneyball signing. What I will say on the Moneyball front as well is all of the filters are available for completely free on the Patreon down below, but also there is a Moneyball PDF guide that you guys can get access to, which I will leave a link down to below. If you sign up for £5 a month, you get access to all the tactics, the rebuild files from this save as well, and everything else we have done on the channel over the whole course of FM26. It's like 5p per piece of content, or if you want to just buy the PDF itself, it is £3, and trust me, that PDF will help you massively with Moneyball, finding the filters, things to change if you're looking for different roles. That PDF is a goldmine. And that's how we've managed to build a pretty strong side straight away here. I'm really happy with the back line. I think it's really strong, including the goalkeeper. And the DM positions as well of Guerrera and Elefouzi, I think is brilliant. Wide players, I'm worried about Danjuma now being 30, going to turn 31, but someone we can sell next year maybe. Diego Lopez, I think could be here for a few years. Males, I think might turn to a rotation option. We'll see about it. And then, of course, being led by Hugo Duro with the 1-2 punch, having Tony Martinez ready to play as well. That's brilliant because next year, remember, we are in Europa League football as we finished in 6th place. So we should be able to have a good squad now to compete in the European stage. However, our Europa League campaign did not start in the best way possible, losing to Karabag and drawing to Austria Vienna. Luckily, though, we turned things around, beating Maccabi Tel Aviv. We beat Apoel 4-1, drew to Bodo Glimt, beat Familial 3-0, beat AZ 1-0, but lost 3-0 to Bayer Leverkusen. And I think beating teams like Apoel and bits like that, but losing to teams like Bayer Leverkusen probably shows the level we're currently at. That wasn't good enough for a top 8 finish. We finished in 12th place behind the likes of Viking, Malmo, Salzburg, AEK, PAOK, but ahead of the likes of Bayer Leverkusen, just showing how wacky sometimes the Europa League can be, but a decent enough finish for us. Obviously, we've got to bear in mind the fact that we did get to a Conference League final last year. So how big is the jump up to the Europa League? Apparently, absolutely massive, because we lost 2-0 to Besiktas in the second leg and went crashing out of the Europa League knockout playoff round. I mean, Besiktas is a club I've actually just done a UCL 5-season challenge rebuild with, and they're good. There's some good players in there, but we should not be losing to them as a Spanish side. And we lost 2-1 on aggregate, 2-0 in the home leg. That simply just is not acceptable for a club of our stature. And to be honest, from there, we crumbled in the league as well. You know, getting knocked out of the European football was a massive factor in our confidence. We then lost in the Spanish Cup semi-finals to Barcelona, lost to Valladolid, Real Madrid 4-1, picked up a few good results in April, but finished the season extremely weak. And that's not good for us whatsoever, because normally when you're in European football, that first little phase is really difficult because you're using a lot more players, midweek games, Sunday, Thursday, whereas realistically for us, that made no difference, as we were absolutely fantastic at the start and the midway point of the season, winning most games, going on a full unbeaten month of November, losing 1 game in December and only 1 game in January. And this literally makes 0 sense. Play more games, players more tired, win more matches. And I don't know if it's because of our complete quality or because the league was rubbish other than Barcelona and Real Madrid, but we finished in 3rd place on 69 points. Despite that horrendous finish to the season, we managed to sneak into the Champions League. Now, 4 points less, we're in 6th place, 7 points less, we're in 7th, but that is Atletico Madrid, a team which have fallen right off this season, and I am gobsmacked to how we've got into the top 3. I mean, even the media prediction had us down in 10th place. Real San Sebastian 4th, Atletico Madrid 3rd, Bilbao, Villarreal, Real Betis, Sevilla, Girona, and us actually in 10th. With a squad average age was 22, though, we have upset the odds and finished in 3rd, thanks to our brilliant form at the start of the season. It does make you think, though, if we had a better finish this season, could we have got like 80, 85 points? Like, it wouldn't have made a massive difference. Barca on 91, Real Madrid on 95, going to be basically impossible to catch for years, but we could have been a much stronger side this year. The good thing is, financially, we're going to have a really good start at clearing this debt. 475 million is what it is now. And of course, we're now going to go into Champions League football. That means transfer budget-wise, we've got 25 million to spend and even £60,000 in the wage budget. We are starting to clear things out. Obviously, it's been just 2 seasons, but we're getting there. Goal scorers-wise, Filip Jugurinic actually stepped up with 28 goal contributions. Hugo Joro with 20. Darian Males with 15. Fantastic year. Diego Lopez, 22. And Tony Martinez, a much better striker as a backup than Umar Sadiq for 10 goals in 20 games. That is exactly what I want to see from him. Danjuma at 31. 14 goal contributions, maybe someone to move on. And in terms of assists, we also saw a bunch from Jesus Vasquez from the left-back position and Javi Guerrera from DM. But like we said, the main thing here at Valencia is going to be the academy stars that are going to really help us grow financially and also grow as a team. There is a few players in here straight away which are making a difference, like Gora Diop, who is 17, played 8 games overall this season off the bench, and looks like an absolute beast of a striker. He's 6'7", decent enough speed, good finishing, good composure, 16 determination, 20 jumping reach. He could be an absolute joke. And he's not even our best hot prospect, because when we check out the media prediction, there's a guy called Raul, who also looks great at 15 years of age. Elite agility, acceleration, speed, determination, composure's good, finishing's got to grow. He's 6'2" at 15 years of age. Already a value of £40 million. I'm going to guess Raul is going to be an absolute joke as well. So the Youth Academy really is going to help us here. But that's going to be something for the future. We need to build a squad for the Champions League right now. And the only way we can do that is Moneyball. Now, of course, we raised some more funds by selling some players which were old or not good enough. So Arnat Danjuma to Al Hazin for 16 million. Great sale after last year's pretty poor performance. Julian went off to Arsenal for £21 million. I'm just happy I haven't got to keep trying to say this name anymore, but thank you, Julian. Pretty good signing in the end. 9.5 million, sold for 21 a couple of seasons later. And even Santa Maria managed to get a couple of £1 million for, raising an extra 40 million. But of course, we aren't going to spend all that. We're going to be clever, like a free agent deal with Ansu Fati coming in from Barcelona. He hasn't smashed it in his career recently, but last season showed glimmers of hope at Barcelona. 6 games, 2 goals, and assist. And I think we can get the best out of him. He's a player we know has a very high upside. And it's one of these signings which doesn't, again, fit the generic Moneyball way of doing things, but does fit the he's free. We know he could be a star. Bring him in now. Already you can see his value at 60 million. He could also just be a world beater for us. Next up, we signed Samson Doué from Victoria Pleasant, a centre-back on a 7.39 average rating and a 7.59 average rating in the season before that. Also played 30 games at Nice in Ligue 1 and a 6.9 average rating. So this guy really is an absolute demon. He is 6'1", great speed, elite defensive stats, 13 determination. I would imagine a lot of you have used Samson Doué before. If you haven't, give him a go. He is fantastic. We made the £7 million signing of Mads Bidstrup, joining the club from RB Salzburg. Elite in terms of a defensive midfielder with that fantastic energy, determination, and good enough technical and defensive ability. Just being that legs in there is the main thing for him. £7 million all he cost us. He was at Brentford a few years ago, came up through the Copenhagen, went to Leipzig, went to Brentford, played a few games here and there, went on loan a bunch, and then Salzburg picked him up. And then in this save for without them, they've been absolutely brilliant. £7 million is a bargain for a 27-year-old experienced DM. And finally, my goalkeeper to replace Julian is Vladislav Torop. He is a 6'3" goalkeeper from Russia, bringing him from CSKA Moscow, where he's on a 5.75 average rating. And another player that had a loan deal in a huge side in a top 5 league. This time, Leverkusen, a 6.76 isn't brilliant, but then going back to Russia and doing bits, another year of building, I've then taken the risk. For 5.75 million, that's 4 times less than what we just sold Julian for. I think this is an amazing deal. And that's all we've done in terms of the transfer market. We kept £15 million in the bank, of course, making an £18 million profit this season overall, and financially trying to be really smart. debt is still 435 million. It's going to be tough to clear that. And the bank balance looks good at 72, but that's going to get swallowed up pretty quickly, I imagine. The big thing that I have gone with this season, though, is to try and believe in some of these young players. They're going to be in and around the first team squad, in and around the B team, under 19, and I'm hoping they can make a difference this year as well. Their first team is looking like so, with Males, Juro, Fati, and Diego Lopez the front four, Guerrera, Alfuzi as the DMs, Vasquez, Igor, Torrega, Rendell Correa, and Torop in goal. But where I think we've improved massively is the backups. We've now got Curtis and Doué as the backup centre-backs, Quate and Gaya as the backup wing-backs, Jimenez as a backup goalkeeper, Guido Rodriguez and Bidstrup is an incredibly strong backup DM partnership, Valemark, Ognic, Mark Gerardo and Tony Martinez also very strong. Of course, we're not trying to win the Champions League. We're not even really trying to compete in the Champions League. We're just trying to stay there again next season and reap the financial benefits to get us into a stronger position down the line. So I've got to be honest, I was pretty shocked and we actually did make it through the Champions League stage. 3 victories, 2 draws and 3 losses. I was even more shocked when we beat Bayer Leverkusen in the knockout playoff round. Samson Doué propping up with a goal and our squad left back in Jose Gaya with the assist. It was a 3-0 battering over the 2 legs. We even managed to beat Juventus in the first leg at home with a 1-0 victory against Marco Rose, who then turned up in the second leg, realised he was Marco Rose and beat us 4-0. But I'm very happy to have taken the squad and that first team that we're seeing right now to the Champions League round of 16. I mean, Raul Jimenez was in goal for this game. Thierry, Rendell Correa, Doué, Torrega, Vasquez, Bidstrup, El Fawzi, Diego Lopez, Ognic, Ansu Fati and Hugo Duro. That is not a Champions League level side. We have clearly done something right to get us to be a round of 16 side. And like we said, the financial benefits of just being in the Champions League is massive, as our debt is now down to 390k. But the one thing it did have was a huge toll on our league form. Unlike the Europa League, where we could get away with playing a few rotational players, in the Champions League, we played pretty much first team players every single game, which caused massive strains on our league form, and we were just pretty poor. Having our worst performance yet, down in 10th place, 16 wins, 6 draws, 16 losses. It was clear that we just were not good enough for that level. And next season, we're missing out entirely on European football, which is not ideal. I think maybe we saw the cap on a few players like Hugo Duro. 22 games, 8 goals, 5 assists, actually ended up being replaced by Tony Martinez, who scored 19 and 3. And while I'm a big fan of Tony Martinez, he can't be our starting striker. Diego Lopez only scored 10. Darian Males got 20 goal contributions, which is great. Philip had a drop off this year down to 11. Gora Diop showed up this year with 4 goals in 5 games. Our young striker who is growing into a monster with 5-star potential. Marc Martinez played a few games. Samson Doué was really good. Ansu Fati was pretty decent, but overall just not quite good enough this year. The whole squad. So I am very wary of the money that we spend this summer, because I do think we're about to get kind of hit quite hard with the fact that we've been improving the squad, improving the wage budget, expecting Champions League football, and now dropping out of it. Now, if you guys are enjoying this more realistic approach to playing Football Manager, this is my favourite way to play the game. And there is rubles like this out all the time. So please make sure you are smashing the like button, as around 65% of you are not subscribed to the channel. So do me a huge favour and smash that subscribe. So once again, there were some players we cashed in on, like Mukhtar Diakabi, Tiara Rendell Correa, and Edwin Kurtulus, and Guido Rodriguez left on a free to clear out some of the older players, which clearly had gone past their best. And ended up signing just 3 players. João Mendes as a starting right back actually comes in as our best player in the entire club for just £6 million. Martinho at DM, 4.3 million is incredible. And Kiao Moraes is a backup right back for Mr. Joe Mendes. But this year sees the start of the Diop era. I am trusting this man to be our number 9. We have got no European football. There is not going to be a better year than to trust Diop now. So he is there up top. We've also got some young players in and around the bench as well, replacing them older players and trying to build for the future. So if we look into Marc Martinez, David Otorbi, Cal Moraes, of course, just signed Musa and Benge. Now, just the straight backups rather than just young players, and actually going to be involved in the first team this season. If you're wondering where Hugo Duro is, he is on the transfer market and trying to be sold, as well as a couple of other players. Duro's value is ridiculously cheap anyway, just £3 million. But we are trying our best just to clear a few of these older players as well and start trusting the future of this Valencia club by using someone like Gora Diop, who I do believe could be an absolute game changer. Well, I think it's safe to say our risk paid off with Diop. He took the La Liga by absolute storm and scored the same amount of goals as Victor Osimhen, only 4 less than Kylian Mbappe. I mean, was him being 6'7" and having 20 jumping reach helpful? Well, of course it was. He was a bully in the box. But it wasn't his only string. He was actually a superstar striker with movement and being a fox in the box as well. And he helped guide us just 6 points off the title. 83 points is what we finished on this season, with Real Madrid on 89. That is an unreal season and by far the best season we have had yet, because Gora Diop has just absolutely carried us. I mean, literally no one else got more than 10 goals. It was all down to the 19-year-old on a 7.17 average rating. Diego Lopez was also brilliant, 9 and 14, but we just didn't need anyone else to be brilliant. It was all Gora Diop. And the thing that gets even more exciting is I think we've got someone even better waiting in the wings. Raul is a joke. He is 17 years of age. This year played 4 games. 4 games starting, got 3 goals, 13 off the bench, was kind of the number 1 backup to Gora Diop. And it's more meta. He's got the pace, he's got the size, he's got the determination. And he's just 17. We could have 2 of the best strikers I've ever had come up through the academy before, just in one save. And they could be our 1-2 punch for the rest of the year. That's absolutely incredible. Torup was a fantastic deal. £5 million, replaced Julian and was better. Now value of £30 million. Joe Mendes was decent. Torreira was good. Due was fantastic. Vasquez, a 7.25. And of course, having just 43 games to play over the course of the entire season was very, very helpful. We didn't have to play 50, 55 games, playing 8 games minimum in the Champions League and tiring players out. We could trust these young players, and that worked. Financially, did we take a hit? Yes, of course. The debt's gone back up to over 400 million. The overall balance has gone back down to 24 million. And the transfer budget has stayed pretty stable at 25 million. But we have managed to build up some stars. We've managed to build up some value in some players again. Even someone like Ansu Fati, Xavi Carrera. There's a backup goalkeeper who's got 5-star potential in Todo Koric. Not signed, just from the academy. Gora Diop, Mads Bidstrup, players in around that 25-30 million pound value, which can massively help bring that debt down if we need to sell them. But I think we now try and go for a couple of Champions Leagues because, well, 83 points, 6 points off Real Madrid. Let's try and win a Champions League. Let's try and win some titles. And let's stop being this 3rd place side. Let's try and send it. But we have still got to be smart because we've got to clear that debt before the end of the video. So I made 3 free agent signings and they're brilliant. James McAtee from Forest, brilliant. Amari Hutchinson from Forest, brilliant. And Andy Diouf in the DM role from Inter Milan. Brilliant. We then signed Sebastian Lopez, a young centre-back for £1.6 million, 20 jumping reach. Spent £5 million on our new star winger in Jassime Yassine, who looks brilliant. And a new goalkeeper joins us in Chris Brady for £6 million. Because outgoings were aplenty this year, Diego Lopez went to Al Hilal for £31 million. And Vladislav Torup left to Liverpool for 23. 2 huge stars gone. But that was not all, because Mads Bidstrup has gone to St Etienne and Filip Ognic has gone to Al Falaya. So just like that, the squad looks incredibly different. Diop, McAtee, Hutchinson and Yassine. A year ago, none of them were really in the first team picture or here. Now it's completely different. Guerrera and Diouf in DM, Vasquez, Duay, Torreira, Mendes and Brady in goal. And I actually really like that first team compared to where we were a year ago today. And looking into the backups, Jimenez, Conchas is a wing back as well that's come through the academy. A young Italian that looks great. Igor and Benge, Gaya, Martino and Alfawalzi is brilliant. Marles, Mark Martinez, Ansu Fati and Raul now as the official backup striker. That has done wonders for our finances. We've cleared it all the way down to 285 million in net debt. Of course, getting a bit of Champions League money for being in there. We're in the 3rd of August, so that's come through. And obviously a huge amount of sales. I could go and spend another 35 million and 100 grand in the wage budget, but there's no point in doing that. We're 135 million pound in the positive in our bank, and we need to now try and grow that. We need another season of Champions League football. We need to be a competitive side. And looking into the media prediction, we're still the 9th best side in the entire league, according to the media. We are just overachieving. We're using Moneyball principles to sign good young players, using data, using free agent deals, being smart, clearing this debt, and growing Valencia. Let's go and see if we can get a back-to-back Champions League season and really start to make some progress. Well, I tell you what, we might have finally cracked the code. Look at that for some form to kick off the season. Winning every game in August and in September, and only crumbled a little bit in October with losses against Real Sociedad and a draw against Atletico Madrid. But beating Arsenal 4-0 and Barcelona 3-0, we might have cracked the code. And it's come from having a squad of goal scorers rather than just one, which I always prefer. Sadly, once again, we lose in the Spanish Cup semi-final, though, to Real Sociedad. Fabian Herzler beating us on penalties, which is so frustrating. We got knocked out in the Champions League round of 16 against Newcastle 3-1. But can we keep Champions League football through the league? Yes, we can. Finally, we have done it. Back-to-back seasons in 4th place, just a point behind Real Sociedad, and only actually 9 points away from our points tally last year, which was 6 points of the title. But now we're a grand total of 17 points off the title, because that's the beauty of the Spanish league. Real Madrid and Barcelona will always dominate this division, and in fact, it's just been Real Madrid from the start of this rebuild, and Barcelona coming second every single time, and someone trying to break in to that top 3, but never really managing to stay consistent. But lucky enough for us, we've got back-to-back Champions League years, which is what we really needed financially, because now the debt, £300 million, another sort of 60 will come off that with Champions League money, and our bank balance is at 92. The squad's incredibly impressed with how we've done this year, considering we lost a lot of star players and managed to sort of bring through young players. Gora Diop, 16-2, Ansu Fati, breakout year, finally, 26 goal contributions. James McAtee, 27 goal contributions, and Amari Hutchinson with 20. And them two were free agent deals from Nottingham Forest, and they both absolutely smashed it. A youngster coming through at winger. Yes, please. Jon Albrecht, 19 goal contributions from the 6'5" man. Love to see that. Jassim Yassine, 15 assists and 8 goals. Javi Guerrera, 7 and 6. And just consistency from everyone, which is brilliant. And Raul, I mean, he's apparently our best player according to ability. He only started 15 games, got 6 goals. Oh, yeah, he actually is our best player because his stats are absolutely mental. I think next year could be the Real season because he's £100 million in value. So once again, we haven't gone crazy. We actually used a lot more Moneyball data this season to bring in a new right-back rotation option in Barian Perea at 28, who looks brilliant. And over at Savona Saveda, grabbed a 7.24 last season, which is brilliant for him. Matthias Delorge is a new DM for 8.75 million, smashing it against. Saba Goklichvizde is a Georgian centre-back coming in from Metz for 1.4 mil. And then 2 youngsters in Marco Fuentes, a Chilean right winger, and Abel Torino, who is a free agent coming in from Ecuador. Potentially 2 players just for future sell-on, really, to try and grab some more finances. Outgoings-wise, Matinho, Joe Mendes, and Dorian Miles leaving the club, and also Igor and Hugo Joro finally leaving the club as well. I mean, the squad really hasn't changed too much this season. We're using sort of our right-back Conchas or Pereira starting there. We've kind of just settled into a really good squad, and we could go 3 times in a row of Champions League football. And by that point, I really do believe we've kind of got past the debt. We've got past the mess at Valencia. We then go for that title and that Champions League trophy. Front 4 is very strong, with Raul now taking that starting striker berth. Diop is the backup still, and he is brilliant. His value never really shot up, and his technical stats are really low other than finishing. I wonder if he is just a really good backup striker who's going to be a bit part player for us, which is brilliant, by the way. And backup-wise is, again, just full of experience and Moneyball-esque signings, as well as really the whole team now. With just one academy star breaking in, the rest of it, if you look by sort of age in the squads, is full of Moneyball prime players. 27, 28, 29, 29, 28, 26, 28, 25, 27 and 28. That's a team in their prime. We need to now take that from their prime to actually winning trophies. And I can just feel that it is close. Yes, we haven't won anything this season. Once again, Spanish Cup was won by Barcelona. Champions League knocked out in the round of 16. And competition-wise in the first division, we finished third again, meaning Champions League football again. I can feel that we're close to really getting onto something here. There's just too many signs in the squad that we are doing really well. Just potentially a little bit more depth needed. A few more players breaking into the first team like Julio Soraya. Some young players from the academy which will just become better and better. Replace these sort of now becoming 29, 30-year-olds. And we're going to be there very soon. I'm so sure of it. So we cashed in on some of them older players, which simply were good squad options, but nowhere near quite good enough to take us to a Champions League or a Liga win and raise 51 million, which then gave me a lot of money to invest into the squad. But I only spent 14. Andre Bassanin was my first. £4.5 million, just 25 years of age. Incredibly consistent player. Taha Ince coming in from Trabzonspor. He was just £8 million. David Rojas, a backup cam for £1 million. And Taplo Lenka, a young left back for just £700,000. Other incomes wise, there wasn't any. We have literally just cleared out some of the older players and given this team a little lease of life, especially in the rotational and backup options, to start again believing in the next generation. We are close. I can feel it. And I will say, after this season, we have cracked the financial code, and finances are nearly no longer an issue. I mean, there's £265 million in the bank. That's because we are securing our 4th season in a row of Champions League football, of 83 points once again, matching our best tally. Just Barcelona and Real Madrid are 16 points away still because they are a joke. We basically need both of them to have a bit of an L season if we're ever going to catch up to them, because that is just an absolute joke, isn't it? But we are proving we are getting there. I mean, even the media now are starting to believe, with after 4 seasons in a row, you'd like to think so. We are the 5th best team now, and I can see why. Because it's not just this competition we've done well in this year. In the Champions League phase, we snuck through in 22nd place, just 3 points away from dropping out, which sent us into the round of 16 against Bayern Munich, and we battered them 4-2 on aggregate. We then played Atalanta in the round of 16 and beat them 7-1 on aggregate, firing us on into the quarter-finals. We're then facing VfB Stuttgart, and we've just knocked out Bayern Munich, so how hard can this be? To be fair, harder than Bayern Munich, but still not impossible. We won 4-2 on aggregate, thanks to Ansu Fati here, scoring a worldie from the edge of the box, and we were going on into the semi-finals of the UCL. It seems like we're just taking a massive step up in the last 2 years. Debt-wise gone, young players starting to become superstars, and Moneyball really starting to work its magic. But in the semis would be Real Madrid, who finally this season did not win the league. Obviously it wasn't us, it was Barcelona, but they finished second, so they were beatable. I mean, we literally proved that earlier on in the season by beating them 2-1. So we weren't scared of Real Madrid. But then they came to our stadium and scored the first goal, thanks to Endrick with a lovely chip. And then grabbed a second as Nico O'Reilly whipped a ball in. The ball eventually found Charry, and he made it 2-0. But we would not be giving up. Ansu Fati down the left-hand side whips the ball in, and Real heads home for 2-1. And club captain and legend Correa steps up from the spot and scores to make it 2-2. In this game, Vinicius Jr. also got sent off, which enabled us to get back into it, and we come away with a chance of going away to the Bernabeu and going on to the final. Endrick would go on and cause us a nightmare. He scored the first goal thanks to assist from Anthony Gordon. But Amari Hutchinson was the hero of Valencia. Yassine found El Fawzi for Conchas to find him on the edge of the box, where he would fire home to make it. But Amari Hutchinson was our superstar, found on the edge of the box, finding it into the back of the net and making it 1-1. We went to penalties, where Alexander Isak stepped up for Real Madrid and missed his penalty. We scored every single one and beat Madrid on penalties to move on to the UCL final. But before we get there, can we just talk about this Madrid side? Because it's an absolute joke. I mean, genuinely, some of the names in here, right? Endrick, Bellingham, Gula, Wonder Kid, who's worth 139 million, Junior Camavinga, Barcola, Mbappe, Nico O'Reilly, Donnarumma, Wout Goers, Mateus Fernandes, Mickey van der Ven, Sven Botman, Alexander Isak, Anthony Gordon. I mean, Real Madrid have got maybe every single good player in world football in one team. I genuinely don't know how we actually beat them in the league at any point. I mean, Barcelona have just done it. They've got some guy called Lamine Yamal, who's a joke. And other than that, to be honest, it's just a bunch of academy players. But we're up against the money. We're up against the academy dream. And it's Moneyball that's going to get us there. But before we get there, there's a Champions League final against Man City to play. Now, it's Murray Hutchinson who's the hero of the semi-finals. In the final, James McAtee turned assist man to Raul to score the first. Before that, stupid robot man Erling Haaland stepped from the spot and scored to make it 1-1. But the same combination linked up for our second goal. James McAtee finds Raul in behind, who runs on in, finishes past Chevalier, and wins the Champions League for Valencia. In just 7 seasons, we have taken a club in £700 million worth of debt to Champions League winners, using free agents, using Moneyball data, using cheap hidden wonder kids, using the talent, and taking it to the big boys of football, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester City, and lifting a Champions League trophy. That is an incredible journey. I mean, it's not the first thing I thought we were going to tick off in this rebuild. I was pretty certain it was going to be the Spanish First Division, but that's not happened yet. So the rebuild isn't over, but we have ticked off the big one, the Champions League. The debt, I'm pretty sure, goes within the next 6 months, and we could even win the Club World Cup because we are actually in that as well this summer, which is incredibly, incredibly exciting. So we could become a financial powerhouse if we win that one. And of course, we're still going to use Moneyball principles, but past that, surely win the First Division as well. So that's the goal over the next couple of months. Win the FIFA World Cup, Club World Cup, get a slightly more well-rounded, consistent side, and then go and win the Spanish First Division. Well, we didn't quite win the Club World Cup. We lost to Bayern, lost to Botafogo, and despite being out alley 4-0, we went crashing out in the group stage. So not the greatest start to our financial freedom. However, due to just spending £28 million this summer on 4 signings of Facundo Buonanotte for £13 million, Andrija Bulatovic for 5.5, Dennis Eliundo for 6.5 at right back, and Andrej Kostic for just 2.7 as a backup striker, we had finally managed to clear the debt before the season has even started, and there is over £344 million in the bank, with another £500k to spend on wages and £45 million on transfers if I wanted to. But really what we've done here is we have fixed the Valencia situation, and we have now made them European champions, and there is only one route to go: Spanish champions. Well, Buonanotte comes straight into the first team in the cam role, with Yassine on the right and Fati on the left, with Raul, of course, leading our line. I mean, just look how good he has got at 21 years of age. Bulatovic was a great signing. 16 flair, 15 determination, 5'11", and him next to Javi Guerrera, I think, is very, very strong. Guerrera now 30 years of age, club captain. We need to get him that title. Vazquez, a left back as well, has been here from day one. Taha Tarrega has been here from day one. Conchas and Brady in goal. And looking into our media prediction, I really like the squad we have got. Compared to the likes of Atletico Madrid, I think we're stronger. And Villarreal, I do think we are stronger. It's just going to take a miracle to take down Barcelona or Real Madrid. And we're going to have an elite season. I mean, just for context, financially, just how much we're spending against the teams we are competing against in Madrid and Barca. They are spending 220 and 275, and we are spending 90 million. Now, yes, we're spending more than Villarreal, Bilbao, and Sevilla, but we've earned the right to do that, and we are still behind Girona and Atletico Madrid, despite being a Champions League winner and a triple, 3 in a row, finishing third, I believe it is now. So, realistically, we are massively overachieving against the likes of Barca and Real Madrid. We have now just got to go and compete. And the difference maker this season is going to be our results against the likes of Barcelona, where we beat them 3-1 and beat them 2-1. And then, of course, against Real Madrid, where in the first game we drew 1-1. And then in the second game against them, we beat them 3-2 at the Bernabeu with a brace from James McAtee. Yeah, I mean, this really wasn't the guy I thought I was going to sign and turn us into one of the best teams in the world, but James McAtee has shown up once again this season, 5 goals in the league, 12 assists, and smashing it on the average ratings. And he wasn't the only one, let's be honest. Raul grabbed a 32-goal season, which is incredible. And there was a bunch of players this year which impressed. Raul, of course, number 1, but second place, Javi Guerrero, the captain, lead to legend in this final season, had his best season yet. Yassin grabbed 14 goal contributions. Jesus Vazquez, also from the start, stepped up. Tino Kojic, actually our backup goalkeeper, played 20 games this season and was absolutely fantastic and exactly what we needed at points in this year. James McAtee also brilliant. Assist-wise, Fati got 14. David Rosas got 10 goals. And we were just a really strong side this year. I mean, look at this form to finish off the season. Never have we had form to finish off the season where we could actually put together a championship winning run. But this is a 3-month unbeaten spell. And despite Barcelona having a pretty good run-in of their own, they were not the team we were worried with. They finished down in 3rd place. And Real Madrid were the team in 2nd, and on the final day of the season, they lost 4-3 to Rayo Vallecano thanks to an 85th minute goal from Deli Bashiru. All we had to do was beat Malaga away from home, so James McAtee found Raul for his first. And not long after, Concas found Barholovic, who found Yassin, who fired one into the top corner and made Valencia champions of the Spanish top flight for the first time in this rebuild. And the first time, no, I believe over 20 years, Valencia are back on top in Spain. We have rebuilt them, cleared all of the debt, brought up some fantastic youth academy players, won the Spanish La Liga, won the Champions League, and officially made Valencia great again. If you guys enjoyed the rebuild of Valencia using Moneyball and smart data back signings, make sure you smash the like button using the hype feature, subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you next time.